I'm here to talk to you about the use cases that we implemented for our system. As you can see, we put it in a way that you could easily see how they're divided in subsystems. And the main purpose of this diagram is to show you the actors of the user. As you can see from the picture, we have three main actors. The first one is the Empanada user. The Empanada user, as we call it, is the user that goes to our main website. It goes to the empanada.csl.fiu.edu and it sees the map that you saw in the second slide. The other kind of user that we have is Twitter. Twitter is a social media. But you say, how is that a user? Well, we use Twitter for the chatbot and for the data collector. What we do with that information is the data collector tries to get as much information as possible to make it relevant for later use for the chatbot as the user interface. The chatbot basically is scanning all the time the Empanada 305 timeline, and what it does is tries to pick up the questions and it tries to answer with the relevant information that the data collector has picked up. The next user will be the administrator. The administrator is in charge of running the technology that we use on Hadoop, which is MapReduces and the scheduler. What it does is it makes sure that every time there's a request, that request doesn't take forever to do it. It makes sure that it's constantly getting the best information with the algorithm that we'll later talk about in the algorithm. Next. Now I have some use cases here that I'm gonna go through with some scenarios. We decided to pick two. One is for the user interface, the other one is for the chatbot. As we can see, this one is for the user interface, and the name of the user, the use case is the request tweet. The description of this use case is basically the user going to the website and getting markers for a tweet. The actors for this use case is the Empanada user and the cache controller. And what it does is, the precondition is the browser has to be fully loaded before we actually come up. Now, what triggers this use case? Well, when you first go to a website, you could get you could find already pinpoint markers in the map. But this use case starts whenever the user moves the mouse. Whenever the user moves the mouse, what happens is that the user interface sends the center of the map, the zoom level, and the categories that it's going to be using to the cache controller. The cache controller then processes that information and creates a list that is sent back to the user interface, and that list is pinpointed as markers in the map. Post condition, well, all tweets are plotted in the map, and the exceptions for this use case is that there's no markers to put in the new map. As for non-functional requirements, what we try to achieve for this is basically that the user interface is formatted for all platforms and in a way that the user can have easy access to it. Doesn't matter if you go from a phone, from a computer, or from a tablet, you'll get the same experience. The next use case that we have is the chatbot. What the chatbot does, like I said before, is you ask a question on Twitter and you get a response based on whatever information we have in our database. Now, the description for this use case is that the user should be able to pinpoint closest gas station, water supplies, or shelters around his or her location. What is the actor for this user? Well, Twitter. The Twitter user basically is the one that can trigger this use case to start. And what is the precondition? That the user profile must be public, and if it's not public because the person doesn't want to be public, at least they have to be shared. They have to be following our timeline. Okay. As non-functional requirement,